Welcome back. A U.S. Senate panel voted today to approve a code of ethics for the Supreme Court. It passed along party lines. Democrats have been pushing for more ethics oversight into the high court after reports surfaced that Justice Clarence Thomas had undisclosed financial ties to Texas GOP megadonor Harlan Crow. Justice Samuel Alito has also been criticized for alleged ethics violations. Republicans say the rules are unnecessary and are a move by Democrats to retaliate against the conservative-leaning court. The bill is headed to the Senate floor for a vote, but it's unlikely to get the 60 votes needed to advance it. Joining us now to discuss this further is Josh Blackman. He's a constitutional law professor at South Texas College of Law in Houston. Professor Blackman, welcome back to the program. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
What do you think of the Code of Ethics? What do you think this would mean for the Supreme Court?
The biggest effect of this law if it went forward would be to require the court to create a code of ethics, but more importantly, it would create a mechanism by which regular citizens can submit complaints and say that there's a conflict of interest. And if there's a conflict of interest found, a justice would have to recuse, that is, step down. So the ultimate effect of this law is to take a 9-member court and in many cases reduce the number of members who can sit in any given case.
Yeah, I mean, with that being said, Republicans argue the legislation is more about Democratic opposition to the court's decisions than about ethics. I mean, how would this target conservative justices versus liberal justices, would it?
On the current court, there are 6 conservative members and 3 liberal members. So in any given case, the 3 liberals need 2 conservatives to form a majority. If even one conservative is knocked out, that makes it harder for the conservatives to form a majority. If one liberal is knocked out, nothing really changes. So this would definitely have a much more disproportionate impact on the court's conservatives.
Do you think this is needed?
I'm a very mixed thoughts on this. The Supreme Court, I think, has for a long time sort of policed itself. And I think for the most part, it's done well. The public perception has been growing for some time. I think a lot of people don't really understand how judging works and how recusals work. It would be better, of course, if the court took it upon itself to adopt a code. But I don't favor having outside judges decide whether a Supreme Court justice needs to disqualify. I think that could be weaponized and abused very easily.
Yeah, I mean, this is not likely to get the votes needed to pass, as mentioned. So what do you think comes of this?
Well, in the short term, nothing will come. This bill will not pass, but at some point in the future, there might be enough political support. Or more likely, the effect is if people keep saying the court's illegitimate, people start believing it. And in the long run, that weakens where the judiciary can function. If people start believing it's just another political branch.
Why aren't there more ethics and rules in place, I guess, for the current court? You were speaking to how they kind of police themselves, but, this isn't the first time this has been pushed for in Congress.
I mean, there are rules about recusal. There are rules about conflict of interest. But what there isn't is a mechanism by which people can submit complaints and seek the recusal of a justice. It's currently up to each justice on their own. In the lower courts, there's a fairly elaborate apparatus by which judges can seek review, people can file complaints, and so on. So I think the complaint is that they don't have the same mechanism to maybe challenge a justice from hearing a particular case.
Do you think that this could, just even with the justices themselves, just that some of this has come to light, that this is being put out there and that it's being voted on by the Senate panel, just kind of change their trajectory and kind of how they compose themselves within the court anyway?
The court shouldn't respond to politics, but they do. Yeah. I think what's very possible is that the court moves with more verve, with more eagerness to adopt a code. But I can just tell you, whatever the court adopts will not appease the critics. The key move is that critics want a way to knock out justices to recuse. And I don't think the Supreme Court will surrender the power to decide for themselves whether to sit. On a lower court, if a justice recuses, okay, no big deal, you pick another judge. But the Supreme Court was stuck with 9. Yeah. If recused, we're down to 8. Then 7, then 6, and so on. So I don't think the same rules can apply to the high court as to the lower court. It's too risky for the court to even lose the ability to function.
Yeah, some interesting perspective there, Joshua Blackman. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.